Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're back here at Walker Ford in Clearwater, Florida. And guess what? I have that midsize truck that got some pretty big changes recently. It's this truck right here. This is a 2025 Ford Ranger. This particular one is a Lariat trim, but the bigger piece of the puzzle is that this Lariat has the twin turbo V6 underneath the hood. But before we get into this midsize truck that's been around for quite some time, but has a lot of new changes, let's talk about what's going on here. So midsize truck segment is really evolving in the auto industry. A lot of the brands are getting rid of their V6 powered pickup trucks. So if you look at the Tacoma, no more V6. If you look at the Colorado, the Canyon, no more V6. Really the only truck that has a V6 other than the Ranger is going to be the Nissan Frontier with that naturally aspirated V6. Now this one goes beyond naturally aspirated by adding twin turbochargers. Now of course you could go Ranger Raptor, but for those that don't want to go to that extreme, but yet want a Ranger with enough oomph and some off-road credibility, is this Lariat with the FX4 package and of course that 2.7 liter EcoBoost, the best new midsize truck you should be buying? Let's go ahead, let's dive in and find out. Right off the bat, it seems everybody and their mother is doing this sandy kind of color, and of course, on the Ranger, they call it sand dune. It really does fit the attitude of the truck, especially with the black special wheels that we have on this one. Now up front, with the redesign, you got a whole new front end. New LED headlights, they're actually called performance LED. How do I know? Because it says it right there. LED headlights, LED daytime running lamps, and LED turn signals. Working our way down, you're still gonna get LED fog lamps, and you do have a functional air curtain built in to the front bumper area. But this is one of those things that a lot of the trucks have been getting rid of certain things like fog lamps, and this particular one, like I said, having all that LED. Now, as we come across the front grille, I like on this particular one how you're gonna have your gloss black horizontal bars. The rest of it is gonna be flat black with a gloss black surround all the way around the perimeter. You do get a forward-facing camera. I just wish that they would put a washer on it since this is an FX4 equipped Ranger. And then working our way down that sand dune body color, and then you have a lot of functionality in the lower portion with those active aero shutters that open and close to bring more cool air or less cool air for the heat exchangers. But let me know what you think about the face of the Ranger. I really think that with this redesign, they gave it a nice, clean, modern appearance, whereas when we got the Ranger back, it was already a little long in the tooth because it existed in other regions of the world like Australia. Lots of nice ground clearance. Of course, you're gonna have your twin recovery tow hooks, very important on any off-road spec truck, whether it's big or small. Rise up, I think one of the best things they could have done was given it a nice high hood, gives it that sort of F-150 look in that smaller mid-size truck segment. Coming around the bend, what are we working with wheel and tire setup? So I'm really digging these gloss black wheels. Very good looking wheel on this Ranger. Nice little indentations, almost gives it like an off-road look. 18 inches in diameter. Tires are gonna be 255 on the width, 65 series sidewall, and because we have the FX4 package, you'll notice that we have the Goodyear Wrangler Territory all-terrain tires. It's a light off-roading tire, but it's better than just a regular street tire because this will take a better beating. And then, of course, zooming on in, you can see the upper control arm, aluminum control arm, your shock absorbers, and that steel box frame, which makes this a real truck, unlike the Honda Ridgeline. I think the last cherry on top of this truck sundae has gotta be the painted fender flares. No flat black on this Lariat trim, all sand dune color. Working our way down the side, Lori's gonna swing around and show you the Lariat badge with the dark chrome finish. It is functional, which is also a nice touch. Sand dune on your mirror caps, LED turn signals, and 360-degree cameras. From the side, you can see that this is a mid-size truck. A lot easier to park in your garage, a lot easier to park in general, but still has a lot of ruggedness. Wait till you hear how much this thing could tow. Now this one does have the optional keypad. Not my favorite thing aesthetically. It sort of looks like a zit on a teenager's face, but the nice thing about this, especially here in Florida, a lot of people like to ride their Sea-Doos and their wave runners and their jet skis. Think about it. A key fob is not going to have a good time in the salt water. But what you do is you put your key fob inside and you can lock it with the key code, set up your own code, and then you just lock it and you can go have fun in the water and not damage or lose your key fob. Nice touch. I just wish that they put it inside the trim here like they used to many moons ago. You do have color matched on the door handles and those stationary running boards. We got a nice amount of grip to them. Coming towards the rear, your 5.5-foot bed. You can see that steel box frame, the FX4 suspension package, of course. And then you do get a little bit of badging, a little bit of vinyl on the rear tailgate with that off-road. Swinging around the backside, just like the grill up front. Look at how classy that looks with the Ford badge. Instead of it being a blue oval, being a black oval with the dark silver finish. Very, very classy. Taillights, you don't have LED turn signals. That's a zonk. I can see Thomas Edison in there rolling over in his grave. But you do have LED taillights, which are good for when you're braking. I just wish the turn signals were LED. Now, as we work our way down, nice lower bumper area. You got your full tow recovery hookup. And then notice how high they mount that rear tire out of the muck, out of the dirt. And then as we kind of come around to the passenger side, you do have your exhaust. I wish it did have a finisher on it, especially on the Lariat trim. That's a zonk. But I do like the way they just have that over on the corner of the driver's side. And then to open up the bed, the rear tailgate, nice soft release. You'll notice all the tie-down locations. And then on the driver's side, you'll also notice how we have our home power source, which is really nice on a mid-size truck. But why don't we go ahead? I said this has a V6. Let's go open up the hood and I'll prove it to you. All right, guys, we do have the hood popped. You do have a prop rod. I am gonna zonk that. But the good news is that you can still get your 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine, but this one has the upgraded 2.7 liter turbocharged engine. And when you look in today's industry, like I said, not a lot of mid-sized trucks anymore that have any kind of V6. But what do we have? 315 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque. It's made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in about 5.4 seconds. Top speed is governed to 105 miles an hour. The truck weighs 4,745 pounds. MPGs, 19 in the city, 23 on the highway. And the best part is you could tow up to 7,500 pounds. So, like I said, nice that Ford is really leaving the gambit wide open. And it's fascinating because Toyota, you look at a Tacoma, there's over 9 different ways to trim out a Tacoma, but none of them, like I said, have a V6. This one does. Why don't we go ahead, start up and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we're inside this 2025 Ford Ranger Lariat trim with the FX4 off-road package, but I think the biggest news is that V6 twin turbocharged engine underneath the hood. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I'm looking for a mid-sized truck. I thought I was gonna have to suck it up and get a Tacoma with a 4-cylinder turbo, but I'm really liking this sand dune color of the Lariat, especially with the V6 underneath the hood. How much is it? Very good question. MSRP for the way this one is optioned is right at $54,000. Let's see what you get for the money when you go Ranger. To the door panels. Love in the Lariat, you get soft touch material up top, some nice metallic gray finish on the trim with a little bit of silver, no gloss black around the switchgear, same soft touch material on the armrest with the stitching. and the same gunmetal metallic gray paint to the trim. Looks really high end. Door pocket is a decent size. You could get your 6-inch cold cut combo and a bottle of gold leaf iced tea. Make mine super sweet in that door pocket. Now going from the door panel to the dash, we got the B&O sound system. Love the great material. There's more of that metallic painted trim. You do have your baker's dozen of a Twinkie tray. And if you want me to explain, if you're one of those people that just, you're not in the know, or maybe you slept in history class, let me tell you the history of the baker's dozen. Where it came about was during the Middle Ages. If you were a baker and you accidentally or on purpose shortchanged a customer, you would receive extra taxes against you. So what the bakers would do, so that there was no question of shortchanging anybody, instead of you just getting a dozen, loaves of bread or whatever, they would make one extra, because it was cheaper for them to do that than to pay the taxes if they messed up on the weight of your loaves of bread. Little fun fact, baker's dozen. You also have your secret glove box compartment. You could put your Michael Jackson glove, you could put your O.J. Simpson isotoner gloves in there, or you could put your Lariat race car driving gloves. Fingerless, of course. Slide on in, you got your vertical portrait style infotainment system. I love how cleanly it's integrated, and I'm not normally a big fan of these vertical screens, but it just works great the way it's flanked with the AC vents. Full touchscreen capability, of course. You do have heated seats and a heated steering wheel, but you do have to touch the screen. Everything else, though, AC involved, is physical knobs, so thank God for that. Let me throw it into reverse so you can see camera. It's a little grainy, but you do have your trajectory, and I like the 360. I mean, that's really cool. You could do panoramic out the back, different angles. Really, really nice to be able to do all that easy access with your cameras. And then you also, of course, have a forward-facing camera on top of that. So they got you covered there. Different apps and icons. And then back to your navigation. Here's where we're at. So there you go. Working your way down, there's those knobs. You do have wireless charging, a USB-C, a USB-A, and a location for 3 boxes of Tic Tacs. This is going to control your 10-speed automatic, 2 cup holders. You have your different drive modes and the controls for the 4x4. Soft touch. I just wish they'd give me some contrast stitching. I just spit on that, but some contrast stitching would be nice, but it's really soft. Lift it up, you got a little tray here. This is where you could put maybe your circus peanuts. My father used to love circus peanuts. They basically taste like eating the styrofoam little peanuts in your packaging from Amazon. There's a 12 volt, and then you could fill the rest up with about 5 pounds of Skittles. Just pour them in there. Taste the rainbow. Seats, soft touch, stitching. I just wish it was contrast stitching. I do like this, the design. Electric assist for the passenger, electric assist for the driver. The other thing I cannot believe, for 54 G's, no sunroof. Let me know how you feel about that. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I got a steering wheel with the blue oval I want to show you. Come on over. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You not only have 1, you not only have 2, but you have 3 memory seat settings. So if you're lucky enough to have 3 actual friends, I'm not talking about your 3,000 friends on Facebook. I'm talking about your actual real friends. If you have 3 of them, well, hopefully you have just 2, because then you could have your memory seat for you and the 2 other memory seats for them. That extra person will just have to suffice and pick one. Down below, you got your easy access switchgear. Love the lower lumbar. Look at this. This is nice. That shaggy, waggy, daggy carpet. It's almost like the shag wagon. Love the Ranger badge that they put there. That's worth an extra 5 horsepower. I'm 6 feet tall. Plenty of room in here. And these seats feel like freaking lazy boys. I almost want to push a button and just go to sleep and like recline this whole thing. But I can't, because we're still filming. Steering wheel, you got the leather. I will like some contrast stitching. How hard is that? You're using black thread. Is it that hard to find some silver thread or maybe sand dune color? Gloss black, it's okay, but look at it. Look at all those fingerprints. Thank God I didn't eat any KFC. Flat black on the switch gear, and then it is a manual tilting and telescoping wheel, and then you have that 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. Yes, you have the modes, and you have a plethora of them. More modes than you probably know what the hell to do with. This is Lori's favorite slippery one because she rocks out the Bon Jovi. Wanted, dead or alive. Really nice to have all of that. And then once you pick the mode that you want, I'm obviously sporty, little sporty mode, you then can scroll through more information in the center display. Really, really clean. I love the way they do the digital gauge cluster in this. Really, really nice setup. But why don't we go ahead, let's get that back seat because I want to take you for a spin with the V6 twin turbocharged engine in this Ranger. All right, guys, back seat area time. And to be honest with you, in this Ranger, yeah, it's not as much as an F-150, but it's quite generous for a midsize truck. I like it better than a Canyon, a Colorado, or a Tacoma. Nissan Frontier has a good amount of space, but I think I like this space even better than the Frontier. You do have large pockets. When you go to the Texas State Fair in this thing, you could put your Cheeros, your corn dogs, your crispy cacti. The one thing I can't believe is there's no rear AC vents. They give you this holder here where you could put like a cheeseburger from McDonald's. What are you supposed to do with that? I mean, come on. That's just stupid. USB-C, USB-A, and a home power source. And then we got the shaggy waggy carpet. Love that. Pull down the center armrest. Ooh, they must work with Charmin. Look at that. It's so soft. 2 cup holders. You got a power sliding rear glass window. And of course there is, I'm sitting, I can't do it, but there is storage underneath this whole bench rear seat. But why don't we go ahead, it's that time. I don't have the 4-banger, I got a V6, baby. Let's go on throttle and see how this Ranger hits the road. All right, guys, I'm behind the wheel of this 2025 Ranger Lariat trim with the FX4 off-road package. I'm gonna go ahead and twist the mode selector knob. We're gonna go into sport. Even with a light press of the throttle pedal, I can feel the power of that 2.7 liter turbocharged V6. It's quite glorious, especially when compared with some of the anemic 4-cylinder turbocharged engines that we've been finding in some of the other trucks. 10-speed works great with this truck. And because it's not on as aggressive tires as the Ranger Raptor, it still has a good compromise behind ride quality and road noise from the tires that we have on this FX4 equipped Ranger. Great visibility. Love the 12-inch nicely integrated. Now how you're always complaining about, oh, Joe, they don't have the screens nicely integrated. Well, guess what? The screen is nicely integrated in this. And it's easy to get to. Plus you have real deal buttons and switches, which are great as well to be able to do. What's also nice is that you got power folding mirrors. That's another nice touch in here. But the digital gauge cluster is very easy to read at a glance. I just can't believe, not like I'm a big sunroof guy, but I can't believe there's no sunroof at $54,000 in this truck. But the materials are freaking stupendous. Some of the best. I really do believe that in this class, right? But you got a good amount of room for the backseat passengers. Just would have been nice if there were AC vents back there for them. But very impressed with the layout of this particular Lariat. All right, guys, we're pulling away from the light. And just really good suspension quality. And just overall, a nice riding and nice driving truck. Of course, the one that's going to ride the best in this class is a Ridgeline, but a lot of people don't consider a Ridgeline a real truck. But out of the other trucks, this Ranger really does ride nicely, and on throttle, it gets up and goes. I mean, from that twin turbo V6, you look down the speedometer, you're like, whoa. Yeah, that's how this truck gets up and goes. But as you can see, I mean, driving it on the highway, super smooth. You got all the Ford safety features. And I don't know about you, but I'm digging the sand dune color. Like I said, it's a good truck color. A little bit of wind noise, and like I said, a little bit of tire noise, but it's a compromise, right? I mean, you're not going to get off-road tires and have zero road noise. That just doesn't happen. But like I said, the biggest thing is that this thing has the V6 twin turbo. Plus you got all those great modes. Remember, when you change the modes, it's going to change your steering sensitivity, throttle sensitivity, and of course how the 10-speed behaves with the V6 EcoBoost. On the brakes. Let's see how we go here. Round and round and round. You ready? On throttle. Here we go. Drops down and we are off and running. Smooth shifts. One thing I've noticed is that it doesn't pump any sound into the cabin, which I think I'm okay with. Whereas like the 4-cylinder turbo, the 4-cylinder EcoBoost, it pumps sound into the cabin. But man, this thing has plenty of pep. It's like a sleeper in a way, because there's no badging that says V6 twin turbo or anything like that. On the brakes. You do have a little bit more weight on the nose, but it's not too bad. But what you gain in weight, you also gain in acceleration, because this thing gets up and goes, man. Wow. It's like when you look at a Ranger Raptor, you know it's a Ranger Raptor, but this thing, you're just like, okay, it's just a Ranger, I can out accelerate that, and then you go on throttle in your Ranger Lariat here, and you wind up surprising even some sports cars. That's how quickly it accelerates. But the visibility in these Rangers are great, and the interior is definitely nicely done, especially over the previous generation. It's crazy to think that we went so long without a Ranger here in the States. On throttle! But I'm not surprised how good this thing drives with that EcoBoost, the V6 EcoBoost. But I hope that this has been a good overall review of the Ranger Lariat with the V6 twin turbo. We're going to get back to Walker Ford and wrap this one up, so I will see you in a nanosecond. All right, guys, another great day here at Walker Ford. Definitely want to thank Frank Walker, Western Walker, and Tracy getting us access to this 2.7 liter turbocharged version of the Ranger. Let me know what you think. Is this the must-own mid-size truck, or are you thinking that you're still gonna go to a different competitor? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rides family. Got to give it up to Latte Lori. She's working the cars, she's dodging the cars, and she's also dodging the raindrops. So thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.